Welcome to the Week 9 edition of the Bay Rivers District Football Picks of the Week show with 757 Preps. I'm Perez Thomas here with Jason Kidd as always. We're filming today at Beef O'Brady's in Newport News on Oyster Point Boulevard.
Oyster Point Road.
Oyster Point Road, Boulevard, same difference. You know where it's at. Come check them out. They have great food, great prices, great family atmosphere, and plenty of sports for all your sport needs.
And a couple donks in the back.
Oh man, so let's go ahead and start off with the Week 8 recap. We'll go ahead and lead in with the Bay Rivers game of the week last week, which was the York Falcons versus the Bruton Panthers, which actually turned out to be a pretty solid matchup.
Yeah, it turned out to be a good game. York jumped out, and Bruton was right there with them until, Alex Johnson led them Falcons to another big win leading up to this week's game. Jake Norman and Johnson teamed up to carry the Falcons, and they were led by a solid defensive performance by Jimmy Evans and Anthony Honey and Hayden Crockett and the boys. They got the best of the Panthers.
Yeah. I must say I was a lot more impressed with the Panthers than I had been in the past. I saw them play against Grafton, and it was a completely different team. It looked like they had a lot more heart, a lot more chemistry. They were hard-hitting. Their running backs run extremely hard.
Yes.
And their passing attack, their wideout is out of control. Darius Olvis is a monster. He is a force to be reckoned with. I just want to give them their props because they did bring a good game. York just had too many weapons. The defense stepped up for York, and as always, the offense put up points. We'll go ahead and move into the next game of the night, which was, the next game, which was between Grafton and Tabb, and that turned out to be a slobber knock.
Yeah, Bartell was 216. Marcus Spearman put on that lockdown cornerback ability he has, picking off 3 Dan Chili passes, taking 1 to the house for a 30-yard touchdown. Grafton Clippers, I think they got their attitudes right. They've always had the talent, but I think they're putting things together.
Yeah, I tell you what, Bartels is continuing his rampage through the Bay Rivers. The little fella is explosive.
Yeah.
I mean, he may not look like much if you saw him on the street, but I tell you what, you put some pads on him and you let him run, and he's a tough stop.
He's on Junior's behind to get the Bay Rivers top leading rusher.
Definitely. We'll go ahead and move into what has become, I guess you could call a backyard brawl almost, between Lafayette and Jamestown. You may have thought it might be a little bigger spread than it was, but and then who we all thought would win did win. Lafayette came out with a 36-20 victory.
Yeah, Jamestown's Rodney Smith takes kickoff back, put them up, and the Rams, they got Will Capers who moves the chains.
Yes, he does.
Thomas Smith had a big game on defense and special teams. He had 2 interceptions. He had, I think, over 100 and some yards in return yards. He had a kickoff return as a touchdown as well. So.
Yeah, Capers, what more can you say? I think he went over 1,000 rushing yards last week. I think, what did he go for? Over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's another solid Bay Rivers District running back with a district full of them, but he's definitely one of the top tier. Next, we'll move into another high-scoring game between Poquoson and New Kent. And whoever thought you'd say Poquoson puts up 62 points with the offense they run?
Well, hey, they had over 440 yards on the ground. Will Enemy had 117 touchdown. Dylan Hill had 57 in the touchdown. And their second, third strings added some touchdowns as well.
Yeah, I saw that they went for over 100+ yards, 2 touchdowns. Emily's he's another one of those top tier running backs you got to watch out for in the Bay Rivers District. And let's see, the last game we're going to recap is that Warhill Smithfield game. Warhill turned out another close victory. It seems like they're getting back, and in their wins, it's touchdown or less. It seems like 28-21.
Devontae Didman, he threw for another touchdown. The Lions had 3 different touchdown receptions by 3 different quarterbacks on the ball, which is pretty impressive. Shows their versatility. Denman also had over 140 yards rushing and added a couple more touchdowns on the ground. Reggie Lipscomb was the recipient of a couple of those touchdown passes. Yeah, the Warhill Lions, they're for real.
Yeah.
And they came back off a tough loss last week to Grafton, and they put things together this week and won. They solidified themselves as a Division IV playoff contender.
Yeah, Denman had a huge game with 3 TDs, and I mean, anytime they put up 21 plus, they're usually going to get a W with the way their defense has been playing.
The Warhill coaches held Denman out of the second half in the loss against Grafton, and that proved to be smart. As they bounced back this week and had a phenomenal week again.
Definitely. Well, we'll go ahead and move into the Week 9 slate, and we'll start it off with Bruton Poquoson matchup. This one will be Friday night at Bruton. What do you feel about that one?
The Panthers are playing hard right now, even though they've come on to losing in some games, and I see them putting together a win here. Surprising the Bull Islanders a little bit. And look for Olvis and Brad Burks to have a big game.
What are you going with the score?
Say 21-18.
21-18, Bruton, huh? All right, well, I'm going the same direction with Bruton, but for a couple of different reasons. This year, Poquoson is 1-3 on the road. Bruton 2-1 at home, and their only loss was to Warhill. You know what the score to that was? 9-7. So they played tough football at home, and Poquoson seems to struggle when they leave Old Bull Island. So I'm going with Bruton, who's playing very tough football right now, 24-20 in a close one.
So you've been doing your homework.
A little research. The next game we're going to do is the Jamestown Grafton game. That's Friday night at Bailey Field. I think Grafton comes home with this W. Jamestown's been playing some tough football, but I think they're still a year away. Grafton's starting to click on all cylinders. Seems like they're starting to see things together, as you said earlier, with the defense and everything. I'm going Grafton on this one, 35-14.
Well, I agree with you with the winner of this game. I think Grafton will pull it out, but this is why. Grafton has changed their attitude. They've gotten punched in the face in the past and just fell on the floor. But the past few weeks, they've gotten punched in the face and they've come swinging back as a harder swinger. Mike Tyson like. I like the Clippers in this one. Bartell's a leader. Don't forget about Jet Johnson. He's led them in the past 2 games at the quarterback position, freeing up again. Robbie Heiser on the defensive side of the ball, making them a better defensive team, and the offense hasn't missed a beat. I like the Clippers 36-10.
Okay. Now the next game we'll move into is between the Smithfield bunch, and they're headed out to New Kent for an extremely long bus ride. I think this one's going to be a tough matchup. I mean, again, there's no playoff implications here, anything like that, but I think they're a well-matched bunch, and I just think I'm going to go with the home team on this one. I think Storm Parker has a big game. I think Fitzgerald gets it going a little bit. And I'm going New Kent, 21-20, extremely close ball game.
Well, this is a true road trip for the Packers, and that takes a little bit out of me, I would say. And I like New Kent in this one. Like you said, behind Mr. Storm Parker, probably first team Bay Rivers running back selection, and Devontae Fitzgerald. I like the Trojans in this one, 28-10.
All right. Next game we'll move into is Tabb at Warhill. That one's going to be at Warner Stadium on Friday at 7. And I know a lot of people probably aren't too happy about it being at Warner when the showdown between York and Lafayette is stuck there at tiny little Cooley Field. But hey, you got your priorities. It's Warhill's homecoming. And what can you say? I've got Warhill in this one, 21-14. They don't put up a ton of points. They don't do it winning pretty. But they win.
Yes, they do win, and they would like to host a first-round playoff game opposed to traveling, or they would like to stay at home the first round with a bye, and play their first game in the second round at home. I like Dedmon and the Lions. Dedmon is an athlete. This guy can do it all, offensively, defensively, throwing the ball, running the ball. catching the ball. He does it all. Reggie Lipscomb, he's a talented young fella as well. I like the Lions to roll, led by their underrated coaching staff. Their coaching staff doesn't get a lot of shine, but them guys know what they're doing up in the press box. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I really feel like they're kicking it in gear, getting things ready for the playoffs. No more holding people back. I think they're going to unleash the beast and give it to the Tabb this week. And then that leads into the showdown between the York Falcons, undefeated 8-0, and the Lafayette Rams, undefeated 8-0. And like I said, this one's at Cooley Field Friday night. You better get your tickets now. And you better go ahead and you might want to camp out because there's not going to be any parking out there.
Man, this place is going to be full to the brim, I'll tell you that, with a little bit spilling on the sides.
Yeah.
Star power is eccentric in this game. You got Thomas Smith, who's headed to Virginia Tech. You got Alex Johnson and Anthony Honey. They might not be big-time college performers, but when it comes down to AA high school football, them guys are on another level. I looked at the strengths and weaknesses of each team. I couldn't find many weaknesses. When you look at the strengths, both have a running game.
Yes.
Both can pass the ball. Both have good special teams. We're both have senior leadership. You don't have many weaknesses in this one. I like the York Falcons to pull off a little minor upset, even though they're both 8-0 and Lafayette's ranked higher in the state polls. I like the Falcons in this one. 31-28.
You know, we're not cheating off each other because I've got the score flip-flop.
I don't even have the paper in front of me. But
I've got Lafayette winning it, 31-28. The only reason I could look at it, I woke up this morning and I pretty much flipped the quarter in there. Still couldn't decide after that. Then I said, what would Vegas do? The home team always gets 3.
Yeah.
So I went Lafayette 31, York 28. Like you said, they're both balanced. They both run the ball. They both pass it. They both have star power. They both have good defenses. Both offenses, I don't need to speak on that.
Offensive line.
But the last thing I think it comes down to that Lafayette may have a tiny edge at special teams. I think Thomas Smith, now don't get me twisted or anything, Anthony Honey is a monster on special teams as well.
That's Tywan Lewis.
And Tywan Lewis. But we're talking about Thomas Smith here. I don't know if he takes one in the house, but I look for them to have great field position all night due to him, unless York kicks the ball away. So I'm going Lafayette, 31-28, thanks to Vegas. What can I say?
Hey, we're doing a lot of talking. These guys got to do the walk-through this weekend. I wish all teams the best of luck. Go out there, give out a hard performance, knock some heads off, run some touchdowns, do what you do.
Definitely, I agree 100%. I'd like to thank you for all your support. Be sure to check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/757preps. You can also check us on Facebook and give us a like, facebook.com/757preps. And of course, we try and stream the scores on our Twitter account as soon as they come through at 757preps. Again, I'd like to thank Beef O'Brady's for allowing us to film the show here. Like I said, great food. Unfortunately, I couldn't be like Tony Mercurio and eat it all right in front of you. But what can I say? We're getting there. We're getting there.
I want to hear those pads popping from the press box.
For Jason Kidd, I'm Perez Thomas. Have a good weekend. Enjoy all the high school football.